Hello, I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti. And first of all, thank you to the 50/50 Day Project, Let It Ripple, and Tiffany Schlane for organizing this gathering. The goal of this project, to create a more gender-balanced society, is a major priority of my administration. Gender equity is an issue of fundamental human rights. That's why I created a Gender Equity Coalition, which coordinates with our city's Commission on the Status of Women to identify goals in areas that need our attention. Working with Mount St. Mary's University, we released the first ever report on the status of women and girls in Los Angeles in 2015. And I'm proud to say that we have achieved gender parity in our city's board and commission appointments in that time. For the first time in LA history, there are no more all-male boards or commissions in our cities. So if we've made real progress here in LA, we know our work is not done, but you can do it too. So I want to thank you for your hard work and offer my very best wishes for a fantastic event. Let's achieve gender equity now.
Let's achieve gender equity now. The voice, the strong voice of our beloved Mayor Eric Garcetti here in Los Angeles. I'm so proud and happy to have Rick Morrison, who's another PeaceLearning leader here on MomTalk. And together, we are standing strong for this 50/50 Day, PeaceLearning community alliances, the Hug Alliance, the Hug Store, and how we can cultivate more peace in our city through equality, equanimity, empowering women and men, teaching our boys and girls about the value and the power of equality, and gender equality specifically, and what it means for children to know this in the context of home, school environments, and leadership. So we're gonna have this MomTalk LA conversation today, a male and a female side by side, and we've been friends for long enough to now know that we both stand and support each other on this journey to cultivate just conscious parenting, consciousness, bliss, love, joy, happiness, and peace learning. And it is a learning process. I know that throughout our journey, we have learned from each other, we have grown together, and we also are parents of little ones. And we value the importance of being role models to our kids and taking those risky steps towards engaging with our communities in different ways to build more connected communities on these matters that really are important and cultivate global peace. So honored to have Rick Morrison on today's Mom Talk. Rick, welcome to Mom Talk.
Thanks, Nelly. Wonderful to be back with you.
Yes, thank you for joining me on this very important conversation. And no doubt you have been one of those dads and parents who have empowered your little girl from the very beginning. And it's important to you, so important that you have written a book, you have co-authored a book with your daughter, and you go on trips and philanthropic meetings and gatherings, and you have engaged this message of 50/50 equality, equanimity into your relationship with Shauna.
Yes.
With beloved
yeah.
Shauna. Yeah. Tell us about that. What's that journey like for you? And as a male, a white male, a privileged white male, why is it important for you to speak your truth at this time in history on, for example, a day like 50/50 Day?
Well, when Shauna was born, she was extremely strong and determined, and that was something her mom and I recognized from early on, that there was a certain strength of her and vitality that she, some people might view it as stubborn, as obstinate, and all the things that we label children to be. But I looked beyond those labels to really see what she was, and really what she was pure energy. She was pure spirit in human form that was taking on an initiative of just being able to express herself from such an early age. And watching her grow, and she's 7 now, she has only gained with the momentum in that. She actually just did her first biography in 2nd grade on Amelia Earhart, which I think there's a lot of symbolism in that she chose someone who was a role model to her and really empowered her. And it's been a great journey to, in me learning through Shauna about Amelia Earhart only lifts what the more of this that I want to do, seeing that there were so many women that came before Shauna, through the history and through time, that are important figures for us to recognize and remember. So I love being a part of this journey with Shauna.
Yeah, and so as you're speaking about your relationship with Shauna and really your narrative of the relationship, it's just so wonderful to see the joy and the pride and just feeling so happy and joyful about this journey with your daughter. And it seems like her spirit and her being and her force and her power is not intimidating to you as a dad,
Right.
but rather is honored by you and encouraged by you and supported by you in a way that you create this peace learning zone between the two of you where she can do her dance and have enough freedom to then shine. And you're not intimidated by that.
Right.
You're honoring it. She doesn't have to be a good girl. She doesn't have to be quiet. She doesn't have to do the right thing. But rather, she can explore, experience the world through her eyes, and have enough space to then get a sense of who she is and her place in this world. And that's such a gift to the peace learning community. I mean, just listening you talk about this journey with her and how you and Shauna and Shauna's mom, how you have come alongside each other and supporting her on this journey is what peace learning parenting is all about. So this is exactly what the 50-50 day speaks about. So men who honor the strong women in their lives, and with your awareness, with your alertness, Rick, you're able to see, your consciousness sees her force and her strength and her power, and you're honoring her just from the very beginning. So imagine all those little girls who were told, no, you can't do this. No, you need to be quiet right now. No, go sit in the corner. No, don't touch. All the no's that you are almost, counteracting with all the yeses you're creating, with Shauna. So that's wonderful. So peace learning parenting for 50-50 day. I think as a conscious parenting community and the Hug Alliance, which I am so proud to be part of, and it's been such a peace learning journey for me to come alongside and join Rick and Dr. Stone and the lovely Judy Julin and all the wonderful members of the Hug Alliance. Rick Morrison is the founder of the Hug Alliance. And Rick, tell us about the mission of Hug Alliance and why did you decide to start this alliance?
So it's really an umbrella that holds the space of Shauna's energy. And so much so that we were on an interview a few months ago for National Hugging Day, and literally Shauna stole the show, and the interviewer, much like said, Dad, we may not even need you in about a year. and I agreed. I mean, so much of this journey has been because of her. So, when we wrote the book, it was great. The book showed up, books, thousands of them, and what was really the world's largest, biggest arts and crafts project was now kind of like a business. But instead of just kind of going through the thought process of how do you sell a book, I asked Shauna, how would you sell a book? And she's like, well, let's start in the community. Let's start at my school and work outwards. So I kind of followed her, her path, and it became a community book, is what it really did. And in that, we had other groups such as yourself that supported the idea of the book. And that really became the Hug Alliance. The Hug Alliance is truly a grassroots organization that came together to lift the community. And it's not really about any one, I mean, we call it the Hug Alliance because there's a tie to the book, but it's really hugging broader concepts, opening to new ideas. You're hugging, exploring new ideas, and you're hugging new ways of being. And that came through Shauna. So the Hug Alliance is another reflection on that. And it's taken it even a step further with our nonprofit that will be really the financial amplifier for the Hug Alliance, which are the people on the ground doing the work.
Wonderful. So there we have a great example of when some group of people, some community joins forces to empower women and men and bring more equality and equanimity in their hubs and their mission and their journey of such journey as the Hug Alliance, where you're cultivating and you're speaking on the power of hugs and you're encouraging globally, really, it's an international, global calling for those who are interested in choosing peace. And I think the PeaceLearning hug, the hug that cultivates peace is a big, stepping stone for me. I definitely feel it speaks to me. It actually is aligned with my spirit and my own journey. I'm a big hugger. I love hugs, always have loved hugs. And I think the touch, the power of touch and hugs is such a crucial piece of the development for children, for healthy, secure attachment and development. And as far as the sensory motor development and children integrating their sensory experiences and their emotional intelligence and how they communicate verbally but also non-verbally through the power of a hug, where you can visualize a hug, where you can speak on the connection and what it means to you. And so Rick and I have decided on this collaboration together, which is so joyful to me. I'm so excited. This is our first, what should we call it? Like, is it a workshop or just a MomTalk blast?
I love that there's actually not a formal name for it. It's, I think the mission of it is really in the name, the heart-centeredness of integrating communities and bringing peace learning. And
the PeaceLearning hug. We can integrate it. The hug store meets PeaceLearning. And in the midst of that connection, and the midst of, the holding of hands and hearts and spirits, joining hearts and spirit, is when Rick and I are going to interact with a lovely group of moms and nannies and parents and dads and even caregivers and caretakers who are, educators who take care of kids, but also maybe expecting parents within the community. So this is what we call in research a random sampling. We don't know who's going to show up. Anyone could show up. We could have business owners there. It could be multidisciplinary, multi-generational. We could have little kids, 2-year-olds. But what I love about Rick and I and the way we interact is that we bring on sort of our spirit and our voices and our history of the work that we've done. I'm a clinical psychologist, and Rick, he's done amazing work with children in the educational scope with schools and after-school enrichments and developing curriculums and programs. And a lot of PeaceLearning education is interwoven together between the two of us. And then we're going to come up with different ways to interact and play with our audience. Yes. So it's very playful. Something like what you see here, which we put together for Nowruz at the aquarium. So Rick, Judy, and I again, we decided that we were going to show up. This is part of our Nowruz Festival celebration on International Children's Day. And we spread, put the Nowruz Hafseen up together. Everyone helped and cooperated. The children were leading this presentation. And so Shauna was there along with my children. And they decided that they were going to talk about the story of Nowruz and started reading from a script that they had researched and put together in the week before this presentation. So for children, by children, integrated with the support of those who are he for she's and she for he's, and just peace learning, collaboration and cooperation. And when we come alongside, our mission is to cultivate peace. So we want to bring more peace into our environments. Peace at home, peace at school, peace within our communities, peace at Giggles and Hugs, which is an amazing, happy place. It is going to be lovely. So if we could show more photos from the aquarium or Giggles and Hugs, the banner is great. There is Giggles and Hugs. It's a children's restaurant. It's amazing. If you haven't been to Giggles and Hugs, we highly recommend it. The reason we recommend Giggles and Hugs is because at Giggles and Hugs, their philosophy and sort of their focus is on creating a healthy, playful environment, an environment where children are safe to play. The parents get a little break because the children activities and children environment, it's very child-centered. It's caregiver-centered, so they cater to the caregiver's needs as well. So there's a lot of room for self-compassion for those caregivers to sit back, take a little break while the children play safely. And therefore, it becomes a really nice hub for cultivating peace and peace learning because the children are playing safely, the parents and the caregivers are there, and we're going to provide an enrichment program, a conversation for the caregivers as well as the children, so that we're cultivating peace and talking about peace learning parenting, as well as the Hug Alliance and the impact of leadership within our community and the parenting community. So it's parenting enrichment, it's children enrichment, and it meets in this wonderful, peaceful hub, which I know Rick is amazing when it comes to conscious living and making those conscious connections. And my focus is always on how do we cultivate, how do we bring more peace into this situation. So we're going to take questions. We're going to be ready to answer some of your questions if they're challenging questions about, raising a toddler and talking about developmental stages and milestones and so forth, developmentally, how do we come alongside our young ones to support them. Rick is going to read the Hug Store. We're going to have a beautiful, beautiful time storytelling. And within the storytelling frame, there is so much magic that happens because children are engaged. They're following this wonderful journey that Shauna and Rick took together, and what it meant for Shauna as well as Rick to honor and support each other along this journey. And it's not just any story. It's a narrative. It's a life story, where then makes it even more meaningful to integrate peace learning and all these experiences that we bring to what it means to cultivate equality, equanimity, and empower our children, boy or girl. It's about empowerment. It's about cultivation of consciousness, conscious living. And the Hug Alliance will be there. Rick, who's the founder of the Hug Alliance, is there to also invite you, if you're interested in joining the Alliance or getting to learn more about it, or inviting the Hug Alliance to your events. I know, Rick, you do a lot of after-school enrichment programs, or in the community you're involved with many schools. So if you're at a school and you would like to reach out to Rick Morrison and the Hug Alliance or myself, and bring these programs to your after-school programs, the enrichment programs. I think this is a nice place that you're going to enjoy yourself, have also very, very healthy food. Right, Rick? The food at Giggles and Hugs.
Love the food.
It's
Love
so
the food.
delicious. It's so yummy. My favorite is the cauliflower, the fried cauliflower.
So good.
So good. So we're going to be there for a couple hours. If we can pull up the banner for the event is this coming Monday on the 23rd. Here we go. Let's see. There we are. So Rick and I presenting on the Mindful Mondays. We're calling it Mindful Mondays because it's also intentionally, focusing on mindfulness and how mindfulness is integrated into the cultivation of these enrichment programs for children and caregivers. So very important to share this news with your community and family. I know those of you who are fans of Giggles and Hugs, we invite you to please stop by and join us that Monday. It's going to be so much fun, and we're going to do a lot of fun activities, right, Rick?
It's going to be amazing. And there'll be the Hug curriculum as well. It's really a game that embodies the book. So the kids get to act out and be part of the story, which again is a true story. So they get to see it through Shauna's eyes and live. And when they're playful, they're receptive to more peace and to more learning and to everything else that comes with it. So it sets a really nice tone. It's going to be a great day.
So Mindful Mondays, everyone, at Giggles and Hugs this coming week. For more information, you can go and visit Giggles and Hugs website, gigglesandhugs.com. It's a children's restaurant, a great place to just chillax. Like many parents say, we just want to chillax. We want to take a break. So this would be a great place because many of these enrichment programs, Rick, that I attend, or I've held some enrichment after-school programs or been to meetings, either children are not there, so parents have to look for babysitters and, arrange for babysitters, and that's sometimes, not very convenient, or the kids don't have a place, a safe and fun and joyful space to play. So when kids are there, say at school or other places, they're bored and they feel like they want to be with their parents. And so I love that we're going to be in an environment where it's child-centered. So it's a playground, it's a playhouse, a restaurant where children are going to be taken care of, and there's going to be delicious food, so you don't have to worry about snacks and food. And Rick and I are going to be doing this really freestyle, interactive, educational, PeaceLearning Hug Alliance play with you guys so that we also attend to your needs.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. We're going to also reach out to a lot of the community's questions. And I know I've reached out to some of my parenting groups, and I already have a list of wonderful questions like how do you deal with toddler tantrums? How do you deal with fussiness, or when there's a sensory motor, delay, or when many different questions that are related to my field, as well as Rick will be there to answer your questions as it relates to his area of expertise, and just joining of voices of two parents. I mean, we're two parents, right? We're parents, and we're just like you. And this PeaceLearning parenting is such a messy process. And I think the excitement, the joy I experience every time we're together and we're talking on parenting is that we're pretty open. We talk about the messiness of parenting. So it's not so perfect, right?
It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. It's a golden opportunity. It's a spectacular opportunity for us to learn from our children the learning journey, the peace learning journey, as well as them teaching us and growing together.
Right.
So I have, 11 years of experience because our twins are 10. So from conception to now, and parent of multiples, and parent of twins. So when I was pregnant with our twins, I was looking for parenting classes and moms and parents who had twins because I wanted to see what is it like being a parent of twins. Well, I'm going to be there at Giggles and Hugs with Rick, parent of beloved Shauna, and she is, how old is Shauna, Rick?
7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
So 7.5. And you also interact with a lot of children.
I do, and one thing I just wanted to go back on the Giggles and Hugs before the of the children is that they're not gonna be lectures. We're gonna really integrate, and it's gonna be something where, you know, parents and nannies and caregivers are able to really like voice their and get their needs met, you know, which is so often there's lecture-based things, and those have their place, but in a place that's all inclusive of having a good time, both for everyone who comes into Giggles and Hugs. This is what it's going to be. So it'll be like you'll leave with answers. On things that are confusing you.
It's going to be more experiential.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a didactic. It's not going to be a lecture like Rick says. It's going to be more experiential. So you might see one of us come over, walk up to you as you're holding your child's hand, and just shift things around to see what it feels like to hold differently. Okay, so the power of a safe and secure hold, what it feels like to hold safely and securely. So I do this all the time when I'm on the playground, and if I see a nanny or a caregiver holding a child's hand really roughly, or from a high up position where the child feels uncomfortable, and you can usually read body language and see how the child is feeling. Sometimes I've just walked over to a caretaker and I've just moved and shifted their hand gently to a position of love and safety and peace, and have said nothing and just looked at each other and have gazed. And, it's been like part of the peace learning process and experience. So sometimes words are not necessary. It's the gesture or the movement, the peace learning movement, the peace learning hug, the peace learning zone that we bring to our environment. So you're going to see a lot of experiential, hands-on play that Rick and I will bring to you and children who are there. But also, I think what's fun is listening to the Hug Store journey, and from an author's perspective, and from sort of the author who now has stepped into this peace zone where he's bringing peace to the world. Like it's become of a global mission. Where, Rick, you're traveling globally, you're sharing your message globally, and you're laser focused on cultivating peace and the message of hug, or the power of hug, and bringing that to the world, the globe.
I'm reading the story tonight to a kindergarten class in Beijing later today, and we're going to, they're going to translate, and then they're going to enact the curriculum right after. So also we're now live on Microsoft's education platform to be able to Skype the reading and induce the curriculum anywhere in the world. On Microsoft.education.com.
There you go. This is an example of how the parenting, or the inspiration behind Inspired Parent, goes beyond to cultivate and create and bring global peace. So there are parents who do this, and then there are parents who choose to kind of watch from the sideline.
Well, in that, in all this, we talk about bringing the peace. Nellie and I so
Yeah.
often, we sometimes forget to mention that the peace is created from within, and we create that peace, and then we bring that out into the world, through the different assets that we have, like the book and the curriculums and everything. But it really does start within ourselves. But it just takes a little moment of self-reflection sometimes to realize, I could have been more peaceful, and to not necessarily beat yourself up because you weren't. It's an opportunity, like I was saying, to be able to the next time a situation arises like that, you're more mindful. That's why we called it Mindful Mondays, because there's always an opportunity to bring more peace, but it comes from within. And that's what I love about the curriculum too, because the kids realize that, and we start it with a hugging selfie, we call it, and so they're giving themselves peace and taking that out into their group. So I love that part.
So we have this the selfie.
Hugging selfie.
Hugging selfie. I love it.
Another Shauna-ism.
Awesome. Awesome. So starting with self-compassion, starting with self-care. And self-care and self-compassion are always sort of anti-judgment, or as the new generation, the young, like my kids call it, don't be judgy. They say, don't be judgy, Mommy.
Love that.
So trying not to be judgy is cultivating compassion and self-compassion and self-care. And so here we are, the PeaceLearning parenting modality is that openness, staying open in that space where we're receiving the conscious effort and growth that we see on this journey with our children. So seeing from them what they're teaching us, being open to it, but also reflecting on our own beauty and our own compassion, self-compassion, and consciousness, and hugging the heart of the matter of PeaceLearning, and why are we here? Like, why are we parents? Do you ask yourself that question? Why did I become a parent? The whys, and answering the whys in a quiet space where we can self-reflect and know, if we are not actively moving towards elevating consciousness or elevating peace in the world, then let's take a pause, a moment, and self-reflect and know why. Why are we not? So why not? But Rick and I have joined forces on this enrichment, exciting, playful journey, and we're going to be at the Giggles and Hugs restaurant, children's restaurant, which is a perfect hub for bringing peace to our communities. And I love that it's at sort of a mall, the Westfield Mall or some mall, where you get to maybe, drop off your nannies or your babysitters with your kids and go take a break. So if you're a parent and you want to take a break, you can do that. And we're happy to interact and educate and play and engage with your nannies and your caregivers. I feel like sometimes the babysitters or the caregivers have just an important role as a teacher or a parent sometimes.
Sometimes more waking hours, literally.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
So
I love the hand concept that I've heard about that before that you've brought that up, but it's such a simple gesture that has such a ripple effect. And, just literally shifting something that small is so powerful. And it's little things like that, little nuggets that we'll share with people that are going to be able to take this and infuse it into their world. We
have an exciting heart exercise that we will play and interact and engage you with. It's really fun. I use it in my practice, and it's always brought more awareness for individuals, couples, and family members. So we have a lot of these fun activities. Part of it is a PeaceLearning parenting curriculum. Part of it is the HUG curriculum. And it's going to be an hour and a half of fun being with you and talking about what it's like to be a parent, what it's like to learn more about mindfulness and mindfulness as it relates to parenting, and so much to share. And by the way, I will officially, by the end of May, become a mindfulness counselor, or mindfulness certified psychologist. I decided that I wanted to take the next step in becoming certified. So there are a lot of certifications in our field, and mindfulness is one that I take very seriously. And I've studied it through Dan Siegel and Dalai Lama, and a lot of masters and educators. But this is a hardcore, intense, 3-day workshop that is immersive, and I can't wait to share with you, and then to also witness my own growth in the context of parenting and a professional as a psychologist, as well as a spouse. We have so many roles as a daughter and so forth. So we're all growing, and on this journey, I think it's nice when we share our growth and we share our journey, and we talk about, how are you doing a better job or not doing a better job in your parenting or PeaceLearning parenting journey. And being open and vulnerable, because without vulnerability, there's no empathy. Right, Rick?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, Rick is one of the most open and conscious and vulnerable parents I've known. And dads, by the way, the power of this togetherness right here is that you're getting the voice of a dad and a mom together. And you're getting the voice of a dad who's just on it, just so hands-on, actively parenting, and in this messy PeaceLearning journey. And so if you're a dad and you want to talk to another dad, I get this all the time in my office, where dads come in and they say, well, I don't think you quite get it. You're not a male, or you're not a dad. Mm-hmm. And they're right. I don't. So you're going to have Rick alongside of me, who gets it. He's a conscious parent. He's had training in conscious parenting. And I know you're part of Dr. Shefali's conscious parenting,
another great teacher,
coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So as a parenting coach, as someone who's very open to being vulnerable with you, it's not that common to see men and dad open up and be vulnerable about their parenting. It's not common. So I think that's actually a big missing piece of getting to 50-50.
Totally.
Right?
That's it. That is so...
I feel like you should hold up one of those
right.
posters.
There is, that's a whole conversation in itself. But really, it's just been repressed for so long, because it's there. I'm evidence of it, and there's so many other men, that live that. But until we do that on a mass level, we continue with the status quo, which is not good. You can tell that as a species, we're evolving. We're on the cusp. And with more and more men stepping into this to not suppress their feminine side, because you're born with it, it's really important. And likewise, for women to accept their femininity and not emphasize their male side. It's a balance.
Great point. Yeah, it is a balance. And then when you add culture to it, and the cultural heritage to it,
right,
and think about the Middle Eastern heritage, cultural heritage, what that means to 50-50 Day, what it means to our community here in Los Angeles, the Iranian American community, or the Jewish Iranian community, or the Persian community with this cultural heritage, the Persian heritage, has suffered for years and years and years. I've for the many years of practice I've been in practice as a clinical psychologist, and my mom, who's equally been in practice probably twice as long as myself, we've heard the stories, the narratives of those suffering, men and women, moms and dads, of some of these stereotypes and the lack of gender equality, the lack of equanimity, the pressure of the stereotypes of these gender roles, and the inflexibility, the rigidity, the lack of flexibility and integration in some of the families due to their cultural beliefs and traditional roles. And so I think part of 50-50 Day is challenging ourselves to those values and those traditional values, those gender-typed values, or even with comments we make within our cultural frame, to each other. I see this all the time at Persian weddings or Persian mehmunis, Persian events, cultural gatherings, the Nowruz parties. We just celebrated Nowruz, and we witnessed these conversations and the tone and the language that is used that lacks equality, that does not stand for equality or equanimity. So it's time for us, not just here in Los Angeles or outside of Iran, but also for all the brave women who are standing for their rights and their human rights in Iran. The Iranian protesters, the women who are unveiling and saying no to mandatory hijab and standing up for their rights and their human rights. It's time to join forces. So this is a great opportunity this coming week on the 26th of April, which is 50-50 Day, to take a position, to take a stand, and hashtag 50-50 Day along with your message. So getting to 50-50, what it means to you. Why are you saying no to whatever you're saying no to, or saying yes to what you're saying yes to, because it speaks for or supports more gender equality? Or you're supporting, for example, the Iranian women or the Middle Eastern women and moms. So why are you supporting them? And joining forces globally, which has the ripple effect. And that's why the ripple effect is so powerful, because on this one day, everywhere, everyone who's on this topic, who believes in equality, will see you. And you will be seen, and your voice will be heard. So join forces.
And you will see you.
That's right. That's right.
And you
will see
live
you.
with
I love that.
those intentions that you bring. Yeah.
Oh, Rick, that's beautiful. Yes. So then, create your intent, because intent, or living with intent, is very important. As Malika Chopra beautifully, speaks on this, the power of intent. And then with the hug, spread the love, spread the joy, right?
There's actually a new friend, his site, Spread the Hug, which came to me from an encounter with some new friends that I had met that just happened to see our book and said, we have a friend who is doing something called Spread the Hug and is on a mission too. There's more and more.
I love it.
More and more.
Spread the hug.
Yeah.
Spread the PeaceLearning hug. I love it. So two asks we have of you. One is go to letitripple.org, sign up to participate on April 26th. It's all day. And instructions are on the website. And it's beautiful. It will give you resources. You're going to join this community automatically. It's free, and you will be part of a movement which is going to bring you and your community more peace. And it's going to teach equality, equanimity, and hold you responsible, as well as others, to see yourself and also what you will do to bring more peace within and sort of this inside-out learning peace learning process, right? So that's one. And then the second ask is Rick and I are going to have this Giggles and Hugs Mindful Mondays, which we are testing out. This is our first of many enrichment series together. We actually kind of had our mini first at the aquarium of the Pacific.
Right.
So at the aquarium, we had a fun-filled day. It was educational, it was joyful, and the children loved it and enjoyed it so much. Our kids are still talking about that day and how wonderful it was and how much they learned. So we're going to bring that to Giggles and Hugs, and we're going to see if you guys are interested. Then we will continue this and bring it to, other events, Mindful Mondays at Giggles and Hugs this coming Monday, the 23rd. And the flyer and all the information, sort of where and when and what to do, will be posted on the websites. So I know, Rick, you're going to share on your
Yes.
social media, and I will share on mine and MomTalk LA, as well as Giggles and Hugs. I know there will be an e-blast and so forth. So we're really excited about this event. And we will also have do some sort of a media coverage there when we're there. Maybe go live on Facebook or do something, right? We might have someone cover the event so that we can share some footage with you. But it's always so joyful to join forces, to collaborate, to connect for peace. # Connect for Peace. So let's join forces. This is an alliance, like Rick says, the Hug Alliance. We're partnering up together. This is the era or the generation of partnership, and we're partnering up for peace and mindfulness and consciousness, and it's always a joy. So stay well, be well, and we love you. Peace.